Are we about to get our defensive coordinator stolen by John Harbaugh and the New York Giants? Good morning, Metroplex. It's Shan and RJ along with Cowboys insider Bobby Belt on your official home of Dallas Cowboys football. Bobby, who's lurking? What's going on?
These damn Giants. We were worried about people sniping George Pickens from us. Maybe it's actually Jim Leonhard. So, apparently yesterday morning, Art Stapleton, who is a Giants beat reporter, I think he works for like NJ.com or one of those places, but he had been on with Solomon Wilcots on Sirius XM. And while he was on there, he had said, hey, watch out for Jim Leonhard to become a serious defensive coordinator candidate here with the Giants. And then a little bit later, about an hour later, I think it was, you had Ricky Scoops jumping on Twitter,
who kind of threw Harbaugh being done out to the Giants first.
So Ricky was on there, and he apparently had not been aware of the Art Stapleton report or what he had said. Nobody was, because Sirius doesn't do a good job of blasting out their stuff that they've got there. But he tweeted a photo of the Wisconsin Badger dancing, and it says, hearing that there has been a Badger sighting in the Meadowlands, something to look out for. And he keeps on posting Badger images now. So,
and a lot of people are like, you're incorrect, because it can't be a Badger sighting. You can't do these in-person interviews. Denver needs to be eliminated. And then he followed up and he's like, I'm not being literal that like Jim Leonhard is there in person, but he could be soon.
Yeah.
He was referring to Leonard, right? Did he say Leonard?
No, he didn't say Leonard, but he then followed up and went, I'm hearing Art Stapleton already said so. The fact that Stapleton had mentioned Leonard means he was talking about Jim Leonhard. And
you always tell us to look for the ties, right? We all know look for the connections. And there is one.
There's one. They spent a year together in 2008 with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, he did get the hell out of there as fast as he could and went back to Rex Ryan in 2009 as soon as Rex was over there. But, there's connection there.
Shoddy was there.
Yeah, Shoddy was there in New York those 2 years.
When did he get there? When did Shoddy get there? Shoddy get there in 2009?
No, Shoddy got there in 2006. He was 2006 to 2011. So 2009 is when Jim Leonhard would have gotten there. But, boy, this would suck. This would suck if you get John Harbaugh in the NFC East, and then immediately he comes in here, and then one of the defensive coordinators that's, if not at the very top of your list, is right there. If he was to just come walk in here and snatch him up immediately.
We should have a sense of comfort that this could come down to money. We should. But then you factor in Jerry and some of the things that have been said about him not willing to pay, and are the New York Giants, if they're willing to throw out nearly $20 million towards John Harbaugh, I would imagine they're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and give you a nice big fat account to spend with.
Connor Hughes, who is a New York reporter as well, he does Jets and Giants stuff. He was reporting on the dinner that occurred with Harbaugh and everything else. And one of the things
Giants paid for, they are big spending.
Aaliyah or whatever it is.
The restaurant Shoddy wasn't important enough to get in.
One of the things he said, he was important enough once he dropped my name. One of the things he said was, aside from paying John Harbaugh, I'm told he will have the budget he needs to round out his staff as he sees fit. The Giants are sparing no expenses after getting their guy.
I mean, they didn't even take him to dinner in New York City. They took him in Hackensack.
He seems like a Hackensack guy, though.
Harbs?
Yeah.
It's in Jersey. It's just like a... It's like where that's
Frank's
close
Chicken
to where,
House, but
close to where the teams all stay. Yeah, you didn't even take him to you didn't even take him to Manhattan. You took him to the suburbs.
John's probably more of a Hackensack guy.
More of a Jersey guy.
Hoboken. He doesn't want Short Hills or Manhattan.
Yeah, Short Hills.
So that would suck if you get out-connected and then you get outspent.
It'd be really bad. Now, obviously, they could...
If he's the guy, could be, Jonathan Gannon, even though we haven't heard any feedback on that meeting. And maybe John Harbaugh takes Zach Orr, who the Cowboys were going to speak with and was the defensive coordinator last year in Baltimore.
I mean, the Cowboys have, obviously working when he played under Shoddy. I mean, he was on a different side of the ball, so we have no idea how much interaction they had.
Yeah.
He did, obviously, like you said, play for Harbaugh for that 1 year. That was Harbaugh's rookie year as a head coach.
Yeah. Shoddy said he has not spoken really to Jim Leonhard since his playing days.
Since the playing days.
Yeah, he said he ran into him, I think, before the Denver game and said hey to him, but that was it.
It's possible he liked living there, playing there, obviously on a different team, but same area. Who knows? But this would be very disappointing if this came down to simple money.
Which I don't know that that would be the issue. Maybe it is. I don't know if that would be the issue. To me, it would, when it's instantly like Harbaugh gets hired and people are like, uh-oh, watch that. That to me says just people know that like Jim Leonhard does feel comfortable in New York. It was that time spent with the Jets or something. He's comfortable in the area and he would want to go there. And it could be that he just looks at the pieces on defense and just goes, I'd rather have that.
Yes.
Because right now,
I'd rather have that.
He needs, not just because he was a safety, he needs like an elite, like flexible safety, or that's what he would love to have in what he does with his defense. Dallas doesn't have that right now. Are they going to be able to get it this offseason? There's no telling. And so I think that's part of it, is it just could be the personnel's at play.
Can't Ferg put on a full court Wisconsin jump around press?
He played for him. He was his head coach, I think, for like a year. Maybe not, but I mean, he was definitely on staff there, but I think he was the interim while Ferg was theirs last year.
Do we also need to be keeping an eye on Atlanta?
Yeah. I think that it's important to see who the Falcons hire.
By the way, am I the only one who feels like this head coach hiring process is going extremely slow? And is that the league actually, unlike Jerry, paying respect to the playoffs and Roger Goodell's wishes not to upset it?
No, I think it's the late guys that got fired. So it's Pittsburgh or fired or quit or whatever. Pittsburgh and Baltimore were so late, and those are like two of the most prestigious jobs. So I think it slowed everybody down. They're like, whoa, hold on. I want to see what Pittsburgh and Baltimore are going to do if I get an interview there.
It's like the free agency. It's like free agency. Like you wait for the first domino to fall, the first big fish. And once the big fish falls, everybody falls in line. I don't know. It's only been, 10 days?
Yeah, but for one head coach to be hired.
What?
9 openings.
One coach to be hired, that's a little. Still, I think
we need a lot of hirings. They need a third of the league to be hired.
Yeah, I don't know. I just for some reason I just figured like 2 weeks minimum to hire a coach, but maybe I'm just too cowboyed in.
Well, Steven is going to say something about how long it takes to hire coaches here in a sec. But Jeff Ulbrich in Atlanta, I think they are keeping like an eye over there on what's going to happen in Atlanta and do they retain him? Because they clearly wanted to talk to him and Atlanta said no. He was in their first list of 4 people they wanted to talk to. So I think Ulbrich is still somebody that they like and are interested in. And if they're still going through the process and Atlanta hires somebody and it doesn't look like Ulbrich's coming back, then I think they would try to interview him.
And
again.
I'd be happy with the new Browns coach not retaining Jim Schwartz. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Schwartz would be great. I don't know how quickly they would jump. They've been so specific about interviewing young coaches in this process. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Schwartz just not a guy that they're like, nah, we want to build with somebody else? I don't know. But it's I think Ulbrich gets an interview if the new coach decides he doesn't want to retain him.
What did Steven say?
So Steven spoke to one Tommy Yarish and was asked about, hey, how's things going through the process with the defensive coordinator search? He says, I think we're in the initial run. We're going to cast a wide net, whether it's half a dozen, 10, 12 coaches when it's all said and done. I don't know what that number will be, but then we'll narrow it down. We're already starting to narrow it down, and we'll start to bring guys in for in-person interviews, some of the guys that we felt were the guys that would fit. He says the guys who fit what we want to be as a defense, the identity that we want to have, that fit with the personnel that we have on the defensive side of the ball, because we think we have a lot of good pieces in place. We know we have to improve not only from a coaching staff standpoint, but we also need to improve from a personnel standpoint. So all that goes into the mix and the equation, and I think we're making good progress. Now, I think that's a little bit of when he says, well, some things here you got to fit with this, and you also got to fit with the personnel we have on that defensive side of the ball. So is that them saying, like, We'll be able to give you some resources, but if you're telling us we got to overhaul the entire defense, you're not getting hired here. You got to be able to work with some of these pieces that we have that we think are staying.
So that is Inside the Star here with Shan and RJ and our Cowboys insider Bobby Belt. Are the Tolos freaking out? Do you feel like the fan sentiment on Twitter and the Franklin Franco text line has been Jim Leonhard?
Yeah, I mean, Leonard has probably been the strong candidate, and that's in large part. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of that's because analysts will talk about him and kind of pump him up as somebody they like or somebody they know the Cowboys like. And so that's kind of how they get their awareness from. But no, I mean, I think there's been a lot of interest from the fan base in, obviously, Flores. They want to interview Flores. There's been chatter about some people like Gammon. And then there's other people who I think like Durante Jones and others who like Christian Parker. Like, those are the ones who I think kind of stand out.
Mike McCarthy is scheduled to interview tomorrow with the Tennessee Titans. Howie Roseman holding their State of the Eagles press conference yesterday. Listen to this answer on possibly trading A.J. Brown, and you tell me what you think.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, at the trade deadline last time I talked. It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and A.J. is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's what we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So I think that would be my answer.
That wasn't a complete shutdown, in my opinion.
No. All he said is, like, we're looking for great players. He's one. Okay, well, what is he staying or not?
You could get rid of him and find another one.
Right.
Another great player. Now, one thing I did say, he said at the very end,
they're trading him.
Talking about how, hey, look, it's really possible to win, to go for it, to go all in, and try to build for the future at the same time.
We'll be all in.
He, stopped down the media to make this point. He said, hey, well, I want to say one more thing to the fans.
Yeah, and that you can win now. You can go all in and still build for the future. And that's the tightrope. That's the tightrope that every GM in every sport has to kind of walk.
So I think they're still going to trade A.J. Josina Anderson reports the Eagles are ensuring complete autonomy over the offense to their top OC candidates without any interference, similar to what Kellen Moore had in 2024. Is that some type of perception or reality that Nick Sirianni was interfering and they know that was an issue? Or I was thinking Sirianni maybe didn't interfere enough as they fired Kevin Patullo.
So he was thought early on to have interfered with Kellen. I don't know about during hiring process, but actually the actual play calling and different things like that, he was thought to have interfered early on and that they had to tell him to back off a little bit. And that's when Kellen kind of took over, and then you saw they didn't lose a game the rest of the way because that's the kind of coach that Kellen Moore is. But no, I think that was Sirianni. Definitely, he's a former play caller. The former play callers all want to do it. When they give it up, none of them really want to give it up. I've never known a play caller be like, yeah, I'd rather have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure Sirianni always wants to do it, and occasionally, even though he's not supposed to, he may just pop on the headset and be like, run the ball here, do this, let's throw the dig. I'm sure he meddles a little bit, just like Garrett probably used to a little bit. He probably popped on the headset and told him to do things.
Yeah, look, that's kind of the job of the head coach.
A lot of times I feel like head coaches don't do it enough to step in.
Right.
Unless they tell
Shawnee didn't do it enough with Eberflus, I don't think.
Unless they tell him, it is kind of the job of the head coach, unless they tell him, stop doing it. If Howie's stop, let Kellen call it, you stop weighing in on it.
But I also think, during the course of a game, based on how the game is going, you might want to say, all right, look, it's time to bleed the clock here.
Sure. Look at it like this. I would say you've got
Quinn with Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if you're playing chess and you've got Kellen sitting here playing chess, and then midway through the game he's playing Peyton, and then you got midway through the game, Sirianni comes over and just goes, I want to move this here. Then Kellen's like, well, okay, I was setting up for something. Now, all right, this is kind of that's why they generally want don't disrupt the play caller unless absolutely necessary. Let them do what they're doing.